just going to some of the things that you and I talked about before. First of all, we homeschool, our family does, and we use a classical curriculum. And one of the things they emphasize in classical curriculum is that during these preschool years, as are what are sometimes called the parrot years, y'all may be told, know everything that I'm saying, but I just thought I would go over it real quick. And this is a point in their life where facts about anything, like, their brains are sponges, and they don't have the mental capability yet to put everything together, but even big, huge words that are in the Apostles' Creed that make no sense to them whatsoever, if they get, kind of in concrete, they're in their brains, once they hit, 5th, 4th grade level, they'll start asking the why questions. And then once they get into junior high and high school, they'll begin to be able to put it all together and articulate what that means. But having that in there, embedded in their head, is really, really important. So sometimes even if it feels a little bit, like drudgery, getting them to repeat these words, that they don't understand, it's really valuable to do that in these years. A couple of things, like during the Bible story. A couple of times I've pulled out like just paper, because for me, one of the things I've tried to do when I go in there is any time that I can make a correlation between what your mom and dad are doing in church to what they're doing in here, hopefully if we do that over and over again, it'll just be one more thing that adds continuity between each person who's doing worship training, and it just continually reinforces why they're there, so they're really understanding what it is that we're trying to teach them, and that is to be ready for a big church, to be with mom and dad in there. So drawing and coloring, mom and dad take notes. You may want to specify that they have to, draw something that you see in the pictures in our Bible story, or what you think about, what stands out to you, even if it is just a bird, that they thought was pretty, to draw that. Because we take notes in church. We listen to the Bible story and we take notes. The kids, they have their own little worship thing they do, the older kids in church. So just one more little thing to kind of correlate between big church and little church. Also, when it's possible, because I know there's been a couple of times, I know I've had this experience, where, there's things in the Bible, in the Old Testament, that are sometimes difficult to, relay to the kids, and they ask questions, He went into her? What? But I would just, and I'm going to start doing this too.
You won't have that problem.
Really? Yes, with that. Okay, good.
Virgin birth is always fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Last week, it's like, well, yes, Joseph had a problem. Why?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
We can edit that out too.
Yeah.
But one thing that I'm going to start doing is just, I'm going to try to have like just a piece of paper and a pen, just that I can write down notes, because one real simple way to bypass that is to say, you know what, I'm going to write that down, and we're going to give that to your mom and dad when they come to pick you up, y'all can talk about that at home. So that you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to explain it and kind of get off on a tangent, and it's the parents' place to be doing that anyway. So that's just a little. Maybe they'll forget. That's right. So, but that might be helpful to do, just to kind of get around that, since we are short on time. And let's see. Dialoguing, you mentioned in the beginning, dialoguing with the kids during the worship training. Again, that reflects what we do in church. The responsive readings. So any time that you can get them to repeat something, just keeping them involved helps keep them focused. I think that's a good thing. And and this may be stretching it a bit, but y'all tell me. But even during the time that we're sitting around having snacks, what do your mom and dad do before worship begins? We go in and we stand around and we catch up with each other, we talk, and that would be a good time to sit and talk about the week with the kids, ask them questions. It stretches time a little bit too, and helps them to make that transition into the Bible story time. So anyway, that's just a couple of little thoughts that I had about that. And I hope y'all don't ask me any questions I can't answer, because the preschoolers seem to always come up with them. But I'm just going to I think I'll just do what we did last week.
One thing I will say while she's finding her lesson is, child participation is very important when you're sitting having your snack. Let the child, pick a child, let them rotate. Let the child say the prayer or say grace for the meal. Let the children take turns doing the offertory, passing of the basket. Let the children take turns doing the prayer for each other. Just letting them do it. We're not doing this for them. We're teaching them about it. And so as much as they're involved, number one, they'll stay focused and engaged. And number two, I think they'll get more out of it.
Yeah.
Are you going through the whole outline, or you're just doing the lesson?
Whatever,
'Cause
whatever.
the lesson is the easy part, as far
Yeah.
as I'm concerned. It's all that other stuff. How do you get them to do that?
Yeah.
That's difficult for me, and especially with the prayer, because they just kind of all sit there and go.
Well, that's where I would give them, a chance to go, maybe one by one. Okay, but we'll get to that we'll get that to the question.
You're going to go through.
Yeah,
Are you going to go through the whole outline?
Just hold on to that question really.
Yeah, and y'all just, let's see if it's in here.
Do you need one?
Yeah. Okay, so like last week, we come in and, everybody gets seated. And I do think, I'm sure y'all do this, but because of the acoustics in the room, and this is one thing that I was shocked, because last time I did this, there were significantly older kids in there who've now graduated and are sitting in worship with their parents. But the noise, the echo, to me sometimes that is the biggest obstacle to overcome, just in general, trying to converse with them. But all these little kids, they were little babies basically, and they're like, oh, this is great, no noise. But the whole reason I'm saying that is, having everybody be real close in, I think also helps with concentration and being able to communicate, just fight the acoustics in that room. But we just start off and say, all right, y'all, your mom and dad are in worship right now, and Pastor Sanger is calling them to worship. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do the call to worship. And so I'm going to say, let us come into his presence with thanksgiving. And now I want y'all to repeat after me. Let us make a joyful noise to him with songs of praise. And if you have to,
You didn't say it loud enough, Linda.
yeah.
I want to sit next to Linda.
He didn't say it.
All right, well, everybody say it. Let's do it one more time. All right, how about let us make a joyful noise.
Let us make a joyful noise
to him with songs of praise.
To him with songs of praise.
All right, very, very good. Okay, and now, how many of you like to sing? Yes,
Well,
yes.
yeah, I like to sing, but I was going to ask you a quick question. You go from snack to then the worship time and the little service. Have you found it easier? I'm asking everybody. Do you have the kids bring the chairs over and sit in the chairs, or do they sit on the floor? Which works best?
I'll take that. I was writing some notes that I was going to go through. Personally, I think chairs are a bad idea. They're a bad idea because they're sitting here like this, or they're rocking and they're rolling. If you do the chairs, I highly recommend you put an empty chair between every child. Keep down this bumping and elbows. We have spots. When I last went in there, we had these little plastic square and round cushions, and before we even get in there, I toss them on the floor with lots of space in between each one because they're going to scooch closer, and they move them. But it's better than rocking the chairs and picking the feet up off the floor.
Yeah, and they all want to move. They're moving their chairs.
And they're moving their chairs. I'd much rather than be moving these spots or no spots, just pockets on the floor, just cop squat, just